Hizb is a radical, international, pan-Islamic political organization which describes its ideology as Islam, and its aim as the re-establishment of the Islamic Khilafah, or Islamic State. The new caliphate would unify the Muslim community in a unitary, superstate of unified Muslim-majority countries spanning from Morocco in West Africa to the southern Philippines in East Asia. The proposed state would enforce Islamic Shariah law, return to its rightful place as the first state in the world, and carry the da'wah of Islam to the rest of the world. The organization was founded in 1953 as a Sunni Muslim organization in Jerusalem by Taqiuddin al-Nabhani, an Islamic scholar and appeals court judge from Palestine. Since then, Hizb has spread to more than 50 countries, and grown to a membership estimated to be between tens of thousands to about 1 million. Hizb is very active in Western countries, particularly in the United Kingdom, and also in several Arab and Central Asian countries. Despite being banned by some governments, members typically meet in small private study circles. But in countries where the group is not illegal, it also engages with the media and organizes rallies and conferences. The basis of the party's ideological platform has been described as the writings of its deceased founder al-Nabhani, unchanged in the last 50 years and unlikely to be, as any major changes might undermine party unity. The party itself claims its ideology and its method of work has been meticulously thought out and published in many detailed books. Al-Nabhani also developed a program and draft constitution for the caliphate, which would be run by a caliph, head of state elected by Muslims. Article of the constitution details such points as metals to be used in currency, age at which Muslims males will begin military training, the sole language of the state, and obedience of wives to the husbands, anti-Zionism and a belief that the State of Israel is an illegal entity to be dismantled or destroyed without compromise, is an important element of party doctrine. Hizb has been described as controversial, and as of mid-2015 it was banned in Germany, Russia, China, Egypt, Turkey, and all but 3 Arab countries. Some observers believe it is a victim of unjust and untrue allegations of connections to terrorism, as the organization has never been overtly involved in terrorism or even any violent actions, that its role in radicalization of young Muslims has been exaggerated, or that the re-establishment of its caliphate would provide stability and security. Critics and others argue that the party is engaged in politics of hatred and intolerance, which is a natural precursor of and provides ideological justification for violence. That actions such as calling suicide bombers martyrs, accusing Western countries of waging war on Islam and Muslims, or calling for the destruction of Hindus in Kashmir, Russians in Chechnya and Jews in Israel are extremist, or that it opposes violence and military expansion not in principle but only until its Islamic State has been established. Goals, methods, and organization. Hizb political doctrine has been said to be founded on 2 principles: the need for Islamic law, or Shariah, to regulate all aspects of human life, politics, economics, sciences, and ethics; an authentic Islamic state to enforce the law. Hizb states its aim as unification of all Muslim countries over time in a unitary Islamic state, a caliphate, headed by a caliph elected by Muslims. This, it holds, is an obligation decreed by God, warning that He will punish those Muslims who neglect this duty. Once established, the caliphate will expand into non-Muslim areas, through invitation and through military jihad, so as to expand Dar al-Islam and diminish Dar al-Kufr to achieve its objective. HT seeks to gain the leadership of the Islamic Ummah so that the community will accept it as her leader, to implement Islam upon her and proceed with it in her struggle against the Kafir and in the work towards the return of the Islamic State. The nature of the Islamic State, caliphate, Khilafah, is spelled out in a detailed program and draft constitution, which notes the caliphate being a unitary state, run by a caliph, head of state elected by Muslims. Other specified features include: the currency of the state is to be restricted to gold and silver. Article 163. Every male Muslim, 15 years and over, is obliged to undergo military training. Article 56. Arabic is the language of Islam and the sole language of the state. Article 8. In marriage, the wife is obliged to obey her husband, and the husband to provide. Article 116. In schools, the weekly lessons of Islamic disciplines and Arabic language must be equal to the lessons of all other sciences in terms of number and time. Article 173. Forbidden by the Constitution are such things as copyrights on educational materials, military treaties, and memberships by the state in secular international organizations. In addition to the Constitution, many detailed books expand on the HT ideology and method of work, according to its 2010 information pack. Although Hizb means party in Arabic, in the countries where Hizb-ut-Tahrir is active, it has usually not registered as a political party or attempted to elect candidates to political office. Although it did early in its history, Hizb-ut-Tahrir put forward candidates for office in Jordan in the 1950s when it was first formed and before it was banned. According to Suha Taji Faruqi, Kyrgyz Hizb-ut-Tahrir members campaigned unsuccessfully for an affiliated candidate in Kyrgyzstan's national presidential election in July 2005, and have participated in municipal elections where the followers have won in a number of regions. One observer describes the strategy as global grassroots revolution, culminating in a sudden millenarian victory, as opposed to a slog-through political process that risks debasing the Quran and perpetuating the Ummah's subjugation to the West. The party plans its political progress in 3 stages, taking after the process by which the Prophet Muhammad established the caliphate in 13 years. Quote, according to an analyst of Hizb-ut-Tahrir in Kazakhstan, where the group is outlawed, first they convert new members, secondly, they establish a network of secret cells, and finally, they try to infiltrate the government to work to legalize the party and its aims. A more sympathetic description of this strategy is that Hizb-ut-Tahrir works to establish a group of elites as a community of Hizb-ut-Tahrir members who carry the dawah to Muslim societies to support an Islamic state. Members should accept the goals and methods of the organization as their own and be ready to work to fulfill these goals, build public opinion among the Muslim masses for the caliphate and the other Islamic concepts that will lead to a revival of Islamic thought. Stage 2 involves penetration into government positions and military special forces, according to HT critic Zeno Baron. For some members this will involve drink alcohol and change the behavior in other ways to blend in with secular elites. Once public opinion is achieved in a target country through debate and persuasion, the group hopes to obtain support from army generals, leaders, and other influential figures or bodies to facilitate the change of the government. The government would be replaced by one that implements Islam, generally and comprehensively, carrying Islamic thought to people throughout the world. HT has for many years made use of the Internet to propagate its message. It changes them frequently, using a number of languages. As of 2004 there were at least 7 websites related directly to HT. HT talks about a bloodless coup, aka Nusra, for the facilitation of a change of the government. In one document, it states, "We consider that Islamic law forbids violence or armed struggle against the regime as a method to re-establish the Islamic State." A 2004 report by the Nixon Center states, credible reports indicate that HT members have been involved in coup attempts in Jordan, Syria, Egypt, Tunisia and Iraq, once one or more Muslim countries coming under the organization's control. This will create a base. Other Muslim countries will be convinced to join and a domino effect will be created to establish a new caliphate. Researchers and scholars have often described HT as a vanguard party or as seeming to be less interested in a broad mass following than a smaller, more committed core of members. The About Us section of the Hizb official website states, Hizb is determined to work within the Ummah in order to implement Islam and achieve its objective by endeavoring to gain the leadership of the Islamic Ummah so that she could accept it as her leader, to implement Islam upon her and proceed with it in her struggle against the Kafir. But according to a former leader in the UK, Jalaluddin Patel, once the caliphate has been established, HT will never assume the role of a vanguard party. In countries where the party is outlawed, Hizb-ut-Tahrir's organization is said to be strongly centralized, with its central leadership based in the Palestinian territories. To avoid infiltration by security agents and maintain ideological coherence in a pyramid-like group, the party enforces internal discipline and obedience to the central leadership. The party tolerates no internal dissent. A range of disciplinary measures are applied to members who break the rules, with expulsion being the most severe. The network of underground cells resembles that of the successful Bolshevik revolutionaries in Russia. At the top is the Central Committee of the International Party, and the Supreme Leader. The main committee or agency is tasked with taking power to re-establish the caliphate by establishing contacts with the centers of power such as the army and the political leaders. This agency is the most secretive and reports directly to the Emir. Underneath its center, national organizations or wilayas, usually headed by a group of 12, control networks of local committees and cells. Wilayas have an executive committee which is charged with executing the administrative affairs and elected every 2 years by the membership of the party in the wilaya. At the provincial level, there is a committee headed by a provincial representative who oversees group activities. The mu'tamad is appointed by the Central Committee. The basic unit of the party is a cell of 5 members, the leader of which is called a mushrif. The mushrif leads a study circle and supervises its members' study the HT ideology, listening to readings from books by the party's founder, al-Nabhani, particularly Nidam al-Islam, or the System of Islam, which lays out al-Nabhani's vision of an Islamic state, and refutes other Arab political ideologies. Where the party is not legal, only the mushrif knows the names of members of other cells. A candidate for membership swears an oath of loyalty in the name of Allah. I swear to protect Islam and to maintain fidelity to it. I swear to accept and follow goals, ideas and principles of HT in words and deeds. I swear to recognize the rightness of the party leadership's actions. I swear to carry out even those decisions of the party leaders that I find objectionable. I swear to direct all my energies for the realization of the party program. Allah is the witness of my words. According to one study, little is known of how HT funds its activities, thanks the party's clandestine modus operandi. In the Western countries, members who have jobs contribute part of their income, possibly as much as 10%. In Muslim countries, funding may or may not come from Iran, the Gulf states and Saudi Arabia, because of its position of being banned in most Muslim Muslim-majority countries but legal throughout Western countries. The group differs from most Salafi organizations in being more self-conscious, adaptive and sensitive to Western culture, despite its resolute opposition to that culture. HT has been called secretive and hierarchical. It uses cover names for reserving venues, publishing propaganda and even carrying out political activity, even where it is legal. At least one former member has complained that the HT party philosophy and practice of referring to its study groups as halakha, despite the fact they are studying al-Nabhani's writings and not the Quran, makes Nabhani's work synonymous with the Quran, and that the cult-like structure of the organization is difficult for young recruits to see. While one media pack emphasizes that membership is open to all Muslim men and women regardless of their nationality, race or school of thought, critics complain of the party's need for absolute, unequivocal acceptance of the movement's dogma, its ignoring of spiritual aspects of Islam, and discouraging of free airing of views or challenging statements. The party principle of overthrowing existing Muslim governments has been questioned as a violation of the ayah, obey God, obey His Prophet, and obey those in authority over you. Quran 4:59. This is supported by several notable scholars, according to Mateen Siddiqui, such as Ibn Nujaym, al-Bajuri, and Abu Hanifa. Critics also note a pattern of a brief spell of support followed by failure to take power in HT's 50-plus years of agitation, positions, policies. The party has been described as being centralized in leadership and strategy, with its ideology based on the writings of its founder al-Nabhani since the party's founding and unlikely to change. The party itself claims its ideology and its method of work has been meticulously thought out and published in many detailed books. Prospective HT members study the core books of HT in preparation for being accepted as members. Critics have pointed out differences between party texts and public statements and accused HT of varying its message to suit different audiences, or of attempting to soften its public image as a defensive reaction to increased scrutiny, while leaving its original strategy, ideology untouched. HT itself claims there is a lot of propaganda and disinformation about the party and the caliphate being spread by enemies to demonize HT draft constitution. The HT draft constitution, or proposed constitution, which contains many party positions, has been described by one party leader as the sum of all the work and research the party has done in this field, based on ijtihad interpretations of Islamic texts and traditions, schools of fiqh and individual scholars, and consultation with various Islamic groups around the world. Patel also told Jamestown that if the future caliph is not a member of HT, the party will offer the constitution to him as a working document which he can accept, amend or indeed reject in favor of his own opinion and ijtihad.